Welcome to the Head Shepherd Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Ferguson, CEO here at NextGen Agri International, where we help livestock managers get the best out of their stock. Before we get started, thank you to our two fantastic sponsors for continuing to sponsor this podcast. MSD Animal Health is perhaps better known as Cooper's Animal Health in Australia and for their Allflex range across the world, with a comprehensive suite of animal health and management products. Honega is a one-stop shop for wool harvesting and animal fibre removal. The Honega team have a deep understanding of livestock agriculture, backed by Swiss engineering and a family business dedicated to manufacturing the best. We are grateful to our sponsors for their support, helping us bring Head Shepherd to you each week. And now it's time to get on with this week's episode. Welcome back to Head Shepherd. You're with Ferg. Great to have you listening along. This week on the show, we feature Luke Chaplain from SkyKelpie. We talk about mustering with drones, and Luke runs a company which helps people, access drones and train them in how to fly them in that mustering process. A really interesting chat around some of the tech that's coming to livestock. I guess lots of you out there might have had to play with a drone to take a few photos or do a little bit of mustering, but obviously we're seeing that area explode in terms of spot spraying and a whole heap of other things which are coming to agriculture, which is pretty exciting to see. We'll get to that chat in just a second. This week we've featured an article from Emma Pettigrew on the Hub. It's around new wastage. Most people would be a little bit amazed if they worked out how much they are or how many ewes they're actually losing, and some of them might just sort of kind of disappear on the hill, but there's actually significant numbers, and some of those things are known and we can manage around them. So, really interesting article from Emma Pettigrew. I also just wanted to mention the Ram Buy Guide for New Zealand has just been released. A big hats off to the team there that have really pulled that together. Been a bit of a team effort. Sophie's done the lion's share. The Emmas have helped, and as has Sky, I've done a little bit, but not as much as the rest of the team. And so we've had the final guides out for a while, the Australian one and the New Zealand one. This one's all based on SIL, obviously, for ram buys in New Zealand, leading into the ram buying season coming up not too far away in New Zealand. It's a great resource. You can download it on our resources section. Any of those ram buying guides are there for free on the resources section. You'll also have the opportunity there to order one to get a hard copy to you just by paying the cost of postage there on the website. We'll get one of those out to you. That link will be coming soon if it's not there already. I really recommend grabbing that Ram Buyers Guide. We see in New Zealand particularly where people have just focused on that one index, maybe maternal worth or terminal worth, and have really missed the nuance of the individual breeding bays and trying to optimise them for your farm. And so, we really go to great lengths to explain those individual breeding bays and how you might put them together in a way that really optimises the production of or the set of genetics you're running out in your production system at home. Righto, we'll get underway with this week's show with Luke Chaplain from SkyKelpie.
Hello, lovely listeners of the Head Shepherd podcast. Sophie here, the producer. Just a quick note to say, unfortunately, this podcast ends rather abruptly. Ferg had a few connection issues, and you'll hear that in his audio quality as well. Luckily for us, he doesn't talk too much in this podcast, and Luke's audio quality is great. So apologies for the abrupt end, and we'll try and get Luke back on the podcast sometime soon so we can finish this conversation. If that's enough from me, let's get on with this week's chat.
Welcome, Luke Chaplain, to Head Shepherd.
Thanks, Mark. How are you today?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Yeah, keen to hear about all things SkyKelpie. Yeah,
so I've been interested in drones, where are we, 2025, probably almost 10 years now. I was down where you are at the moment, down in Victoria. I was doing a bit of study at Marcus Oldham in Geelong. And I remember a mate and we were pretty bored in an accounting subject or something. And we started to Google, all the new drones coming on the market and thermal cameras and this and that. And I remember us having some conversations then. But where the momentum really got started with SkyKelpie was 2022. I'd already done a couple of sort of startup programs, and I was using drones at home up at Cloncurry in northwest Queensland. And I knew that Meat and Livestock Australia were quite keen to they'd already done some preliminary work around sort of surveillance, with large fixed wing drones and whatnot. But they saw the use case for mustering, and they knew that I was sort of quite interested in this. So we came together to do some trials, and also the Queensland government jumped on board that as well, and really just to test the concept. And I'm on the record a lot of on everything saying I'm not the first ever to do drone mustering. But in 2022, we really wanted to see, what was the best available technology off the shelf. And we used that with sheep, cattle, and goats over varied terrain with that real sort of eye of stockmanship. Can a drone be a legitimate form of pressure? And what are the barriers? What are the hurdles? What are the challenges for successful drone mustering operations and adoption? And yeah, that was a success, and we've run away with it since then.
So I guess fast forward to now, what's the business look like? What do you do day to day?
So we supply drones to basically just reselling off-the-shelf drones, not married to any brand in particular, but DJI, Chinese drone company, they've got a huge market share. What's really good about them is their price point compared to other drones, probably through their power of manufacturing, really, just because they've got such a big chunk of the market. And then they're user-friendly. I sort of call them the Apple of drones. You sort of get it in the mail, turn it on, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Set the time and date, a few other things, and you're pretty much away. So the technology, which I haven't developed, it's sort of DJI and some other leading drone manufacturers. They've been quite a good catalyst towards adoption because of their price point and user friendliness. So we supply drones to people all over Australia. We're just about to release an online course that'll sort of touch on technology, regulations, but mainly around the stockmanship element. How do we use a drone? How do we place it? When do we put pressure on? When do we release that pressure for the animals to remain light and responsive? And we've also got a cool little simulator. So it's basically a video game that trains people how to fly a drone. And one of the modules, once you've learned how to fly nice and good, you start to muster livestock in the game. And we're looking to make that quite broad to the whole drone industry. We're talking to a lot of leading organizations who have a lot of, pilots, volunteer pilots, and they want them to have good flying skills, I guess, because you can be a qualified pilot, but maybe not necessarily a competent one. So simulators, they're popular in the crewed aviation world, and the regulator CASA in Australia here, they're pretty keen actually on our simulator, and there's not too many out there. And so they see it as quite a good little safety tool as well. So we're doing that, and we're doing a little bit of automation, a bit of an automation project at the moment as well, which is good fun.
I assume that's a fair bit of investment to get somewhere to develop a simulator.
Yeah, definitely. We, I guess like anything, you take a bit of a leap of faith, you try to build it lean. Build your proof of concept and test early, and just at the stage now, actually, it's funny you mentioned that. It's, sometimes you can become a bit of a perfectionist, can't you? And you want to polish it and this and that, but I basically just told myself we're going to be releasing it in the next couple of months because it is good enough. And from there, we continue to gather feedback and improve. And so what it is at first release will be probably quite different to 12 months down the track, but you've just got to, pull that trigger and, get the revenue coming in.
Talk to us about that skill set of mustering with a drone in terms of how it differs to normal mustering, I guess. I mean, it's obvious.
In terms of mustering with a drone, I guess what I say is, it's a really valuable tool to have on the shelf, and a tool that we sort of integrate it into our current practices. So, I definitely don't go out there promoting, all right, buy a drone and get rid of your dogs and your horses and this and that and whatever. But what it proves to be really handy at is obviously the first step of your mustering is finding your livestock. So the thermal cameras are really great for that. Early in the morning, some people are pretty keen. They're getting up at like 3 a.m. and getting into it. And then we've also got the zoom cameras, which is quite handy as well. If you've got sort of a bit of open downs country and whatnot, you're not having to actually fly the drone in kind of grids like helicopters will do. They'll grid the whole paddock while they're checking it, start at the back and head towards the water. With the drone, you can actually check country pretty effectively with that zoom camera from a hovering point of view. So, one thing that I would say that would be good to get a little bit more improvement on technology-wise is the flight time, but we are very efficient with the time that we've got in the air. So one of the latest drones is quite a popular one at the moment. It'll fly for around 40 minutes, but that 40 minutes is quite efficient. So you've got your thermal camera, you're spotting animals quite well, the zoom camera, and even checking country, checking where you don't have to maybe bounce over on a motorbike or gallop over on a horse. That'll save you time as well. And then you can sort of swap batteries and charge in the car or the buggy as you go. But in terms of, the process, it's quite similar to mustering any paddock, really, sort of starting at the back of the paddock, working out where your watering points are, coordinating with your on-the-ground staff, and having that bird's eye view is really handy for that sort of coordination. But, case by case, every operation is different. Everyone will probably use it in a slightly different way. So if you sort of, manage your expectations, integrate it correctly, it can be a really handy tool.
Yeah, I guess most farmers aren't that tech savvy, so the role of your company is to kind of help people navigate that sort of if you Google drone, there's a squillion things will come up. And so I guess your role is obviously to help people navigate that sort of complex world of what's good, what's not.
That's it. And I think that's probably why I've had like a little bit of luck is, we're out there doing it ourselves, and it kind of solved a bit of a problem at home for me. We really don't get helicopters much anymore. We'd only kind of get it on a couple of paddocks where there's sort of had some thick turpentine country, and then we've got sort of a river paddock. It's pretty hard to get over there and navigate, and it's pretty rough country. But that's it, really. I think when people call us up, I'll try to be as honest as I can. Let them know if I think it comes back to that, managing expectations and not just going, buy this, whatever, and then you forget about them. I think one thing that's really important is having that sort of tech support. And having someone to be able to talk to if something's happening. But that's it, really. Most people who come to us have probably like mucked around with little drones before. Everyone's got a little story of crashing a Mavic 3 or whatever. But I think that what gives us a unique position is sort of, we're out there, we're doing it, and we can sort of pass on that knowledge, kind of what works and what doesn't.
Are you just the drone sound itself makes enough noise for sheep or for stock to move off, or is there some other portable stuff?
Well, we with our packages we add in a speaker as well, and it's pretty cool these days. And these drones, these Enterprise series drones, they've sort of been designed for search and rescue, really. But it's a great application for mustering because you've got the speaker. I think it's usually for someone stuck on a cliff, and someone in the SES can say, "Righto, hold on there, we've got a chopper coming" or something. But it's pretty cool. You can broadcast in real time through the controller, through the speaker. So if someone's turned their UHF radio off, if they're pissed off with you can still communicate with them. But you can load MP4 files on there, any sort of sound you want. Like I've got a chopper noise. I've got about 5 different noises there that I sort of flick onto my customers. I've got Slim Dusty Woo Bullock Woo. That's my party trick. But they mostly, I don't use it a whole lot. So it is the sound of the rotor blades and the presence of the drone. As you know, livestock, they're pretty sort of curious. When they first come into counter with it, they'll sort of look at it, and so you'll probably need to get a little bit closer on that first time. But as we approach animals, we do what we call working a T. So we're actually working in a lateral movement. So I think, cattle anyway, I think most livestock, their depth perception is probably not as good as humans. So if we're coming straight at them with the drone, they probably won't clock it as much. So if we are working in a bit of a lateral motion, working a T, slowly getting closer to them. Helicopters have been using this method for years. We're able to sort of put pressure on and off quite well. And that's sort of part of getting, good movement, good first movement. And you can be doing that with a motorbike or yourself in the yards or whatnot. But we try to practice that with a drone. And then, I've just filmed that sort of module in my course the other day. We don't always have oodles of time to be working a perfect tee. Sometimes you just got to get down there and get them moving, So, I'm pretty realistic about that in terms of stockmanship. But it's good to have those sort of tools and to be trying things and, again, seeing what works for you.
What do you think? I guess technology is always improving. Are we going to see longer battery times, or does that matter? I guess, what do you think the next sort of few years of technology development will improve what you can do?
I think so, yeah. I think, they keep teasing. They keep teasing with just a bit more battery life and a bit more battery life. It's interesting. I used to be quite interested in sort of, hybrid power solutions where you've got, fixed wing drones or VTOLs, which is an acronym for vertical takeoff and landing. So it flies like a fixed wing aircraft, but you can take off from sort of a standing spot. And, some of them have got, solar on the wings, and then that's powering the battery as it sort of flies. And it's pretty interesting. I've also been told that the chemistry of lithium-ion batteries is getting towards its end and they're needing to go down other routes and whatnot. I looked into hydrogen. There was like a drone out of South Korea, but they've sort of pulled out of the Aussie market, and I don't know what's going on with hydrogen in Australia at the moment. I think a few people are pulling out of that. But yeah, look, again, I'm not sort of doing the R&D as a manufacturer, but it's definitely something that I'd welcome. You can like sort of almost custom build, there's companies, I think like in China and probably other countries, you could say, look, get me a petrol powered drone that'll fly for 2 hours and it'll do this and do that. I mean, good luck probably getting the aircraft certified coming into Australia. You don't really know what you're getting. They are usually a bit more difficult to fly and then maintain as well, being a combustion motor. So like petrol-powered drones would probably be the easiest solution, but it's just they're not affordable and they don't have all the bells and whistles as something like DJI. So, it's just a bit of a compromise at the moment on sort of the flight time, but you're getting all these other great sort of features. But yeah, look, I hope, I probably haven't really answered that question. I do hope, I think like an hour and a half to 2 hours would be a beautiful sweet spot. But at the moment, our customers, they're sort of, they're happy to just sort of be swapping batteries and be doing that. Yep.
I guess if you get that flight time, then you can stay in the office and send it from the homestead almost, and you're not having to actually go anywhere. I guess not that that's probably anyone's dream really, but everyone likes getting out there amongst it. But
oh yeah, oh no, it's definitely and then some people who maybe have accessibility issues. We're working with a great young bloke, Luke O'Sullivan. He was the winner of our SkyKelpie scholarship, and he's living in a wheelchair, and we're looking to set him up with maybe something like that, because you've got these drone docks or drone in a box solutions where you may have seen them, where you just sort of need power and internet, and the birth of Starlink makes it pretty good, and you are able to control it remotely. And the new versions of these docks, they're even compatible where you can take off from one and then have another one 10 Ks away or whatever and land on that one and recharge. So, I think you make a good point. There'll definitely be some people that'll be keen to do that. I mean, I'm always keen. I always like to sit in the aircon in the ute while I'm flying the drone, especially up at Cloncurry when it's bloody hot. So it's actually a pretty good job. You sort of get a bit sore eyes after a few hours of looking at the screen, but better than bouncing over Mitchell grass.
Yeah, just different things get sore.
That's it. But are you seeing a bit of drone use over in New Zealand? I'd be keen to sort of get over there, and I have seen a few videos of some sheep getting, mustered out of the hills and whatnot. Like that sort of steep sort of country. Like I think there could be a bit of a potential for a few people to be. Well, I think they're already using them over there.
Yeah, I think massively for like the high country where it is a hard place to get to, hard to access, and yet just knowing where the animals are on a block is a lot of effort, and so just locating them helps a lot, and then also just clearing out. I think combination of being on foot, on horse, or with the drone means you're kind of not having to cover every corner of a block. And yeah, there's certainly people using them actively, and obviously just a peace of mind check stuff. Or I know a guy that had a ram missing and went sort of looking for it. And so all sorts of applications that would take days, weeks, whatever, if you didn't have drone technology.
Yeah. Well, we need to refine the perfect genetics for livestock that like to be mustered by drones. Because
you see a bit of variation, do you? Or?
Not really. I was just trying to link in next gen agri with everything. Oh, look. Bloody Wagyus are pretty stubborn, aren't they? No, I'm just teasing Wagyus. Yeah, no, not really. I think like the fundamentals, I guess, of stockmanship. And look, I'm not the best, stock handler in the world. I've got some mentors that I learn a lot off, but that's what they sort of say. The fundamentals of stockmanship are pretty similar, and so if you can sort of do the right things, you should hopefully not have too many dramas. But I did have a Charbray bull. He definitely didn't like the drone. He's quiet as all hell, but when it comes to the drone, he wanted blood.
I guess on that, do you see footage of eagles taking on drones? Does that happen, or that's just a very rare event?
Well, interesting you say that, because haven't had a whole lot of drama. Back to when like the Phantom 4s, that was quite an old model of the DJIs, and they were sort of a little white drone, and I don't know if it was like their noise or whatnot. They used to get smashed a fair bit, I believe, and this is not sort of just mustering, surveying and different use cases with those drones.
Thanks again to Heineken, who are proud world leaders in the manufacturing and supply of professional sheep shearing and clipping equipment. Thank you to MNSD Animal Health and Norflex Livestock Intelligence. They offer an extensive livestock product portfolio focused on animal health management, all backed up by exceptional service. We thank both of these companies for their ongoing support of the Head Shepherd podcast.